Another day in the NBA here, and with the trade deadline looming, things are more chaotic than ever, but the work still has to be done here on the Splash Play channel, as it always is. We're going to dig in and compare my projections to one of the industry leaders out there, our friends over at Stokastic. See who the top plays are, who the top value plays are. We'll also go game by game. We'll check the ownership along the way. We'll hop over to Stokastic, run a sim, see what the top lineups are. I'll do a hand build. And by the end of this video, guys, you'll know all of the industry's must plays along with my Splash Plays. Today, February 4th, 2026. Let's get into it. I feel like sometimes reading the date or remembering what day it is the hardest part of this show, but appreciate you guys being here. Really, the hardest part of the show today is that everything got fucked up like right before the show. Stochastics hasn't updated their minutes since 10:30 this morning, and they had a bunch of stuff that I just didn't agree with in the data, so I had to redo rotations here. Jaylen Brown downgraded right before the show. We got trades. We got AD moving on. Doesn't affect today's slate, but certainly interesting to see that he'll be getting traded to the Wizards for really just some flotsam. Mostly draft capital seems to be the main thing they're getting there. But for today's NBA slate, it's a mess. It's probably going to be a mess all day long, so keep that in mind. Once we get to the games locking, hopefully we'll know more, but even then, stuff like Memphis could drag on to the night, with both them being a team that is right now heavily in the trade market. You could lose some guys there. You have Santi Aldama, Q-Tag. They're a shorthanded team, and as we always talk about here, much like in that Indiana-Utah game, we love shorthanded teams because they tend to pay off the most. Gonna need to know Memphis' status as a 10 o'clock start time today, going against a very shitty Kings team in that window. But let's get to the top projected plays here. Again, tried to update everything as much as I could before the show, and I think we're in an okay spot. But Nikola Jokic, number one, back-to-back for Denver. He is playing, not on the injury report at all. Christian Brown also playing today for as little as that matters at this point, but noteworthy that he's going on a back-to-back after being out so long with his ankle sprain. For Nikola Jokic at this point, 53 projection, played about 32 minutes yesterday. Stokastic giving him 31 minutes. The slight decrease here. It's expected on a back-to-back. But he could play, 32, 33 again. Seems like the minutes limit for him is probably more around the 33 to 35 minute range, as opposed to anything that really would impact the amount of time that he's actually out in the court. So Jokic, 4% owned by the field on this slate. I think we'll have enough value to get there. Happy to get the field's 4%, get a little bit above it, I think, if you want. Jokic, one of those players yesterday that people kind of crammed into lineups a lot because of how much value there was in the slate. But still a spot for Jokic yesterday where he didn't pay off, putting up just 55 fantasy points. Tough matchup, going against Detroit yesterday, but for Jokic here, similarly tough matchup going against the Knicks. Still think, though, on this slate where we don't have a Luka, we don't have those other pay-up options that feel particularly good. I think Jokic in this spot seems like he's worth more than the 4% ownership he's getting. SGA at number two, only a 4.6x value for me on a 49.3 projection. Some assumption here of guys out on the back-to-back for the Thunder, but I don't think their injury report is out yet. At least it wasn't as of like 1:30 Eastern time. It's still not out as of 2:05 p.m. East Coast time here. So Thunder could be taking out guys like SGA today. We don't know. There could also be the spot of resting a Chet Holmgren after they didn't do it yesterday. So it's a game where we need to know the injury report. This game as well, starting much later today with the start time for OKC and Spurs at 9:30. So the hope is that we'll get the key injuries, when the injury report does come out for the Thunder. But right now, if SGA is in, he looks okay. If more Thunder guys are out, then it's going to look different. I'll talk about this as I go, Isaac, but any lean on the OKC guys, no, I don't have a lean. Again, just one of those things where the total right now, 1.5 point favorite for the Thunder. I feel like you're probably getting most of the key guys playing, but it's not particularly high. So yeah, really, it's one of those spots I hate to do. I know people hate it when my good friend Josh Engelman does it on the strategy show, and you throw your hands up and go, I don't know. But really, I don't know, and there's so many moving parts in the slate that I don't know that unless you get SGA and Chet out, the Thunder are going to matter too much. If you get just one of those guys out, I think the other players that remain will look a little bit better, but not be your screaming plays. So I think SGA, good play on the slate, 11% owned. I think that's enough with his projection being where it is right now. Wemby at number three. Again, that same matchup against OKC. Spurs have had the Thunder's number a lot this year. So it's certainly something where this game could be competitive. Could be a thing, too, where the Thunder, again, just call off the dogs on that back-to-back because they know the Spurs have had their number, and why give them more confidence with a depleted Thunder team at this point. But for Wemby, at his salary, getting 30 minutes now, 10K salary, all feels fair. 15% owned by the field. I'm only getting 10 because the projection is not really screaming out in any way. But about a 48-point projection for him. Think Wemby has a good ceiling here. We've seen Wemby hit in tough spots, against the Rockets recently enough, where, just being in a competitive game, him being who he is, you can hit the ceiling in a way that matters. On this slate where we have really not a lot of great players available, not a lot of pay-up options that project particularly well. I'm not the hugest Wemby guy, but I do think getting to that field's 15% feels more important than other slates because there's, yeah, and this point, good point too by Isaac, Wemby and Chet. Wemby does seem to really hate Chet. Chet seems to be running from the matchup a little bit because he knows he's not, I don't think he gets like why Wemby has this distaste for him. But yeah, it's one of those things where Wemby, if you want to give him a little boost for that motivation, sure. But I think really the biggest thing is that you see it on the screen. Nobody who's a top projected player today has a 5x value. So playing a guy like Wemby on the slate, he'll have the same ceiling as anybody else. And he's not, at this point, a lower value as he is sometimes on other slates. When you compare him to like a, Luka, those kind of guys. Şengün going against Boston here. Boston, no Vucevic today. Seems like they still have on the injury report Simons being part of the Celtics. It's the case for all the teams that had trades that happened for the most part yesterday where what's another example? Simons still in the Boston roster, Vucevic still in the Bulls roster, but they're not playing today, so it doesn't matter. But the trades haven't gone through yet. Same thing for the Cavs and Clippers game. So no Garland today. He wouldn't have played anyway, but no Harden today because of the fact that the trade hasn't actually been consummated yet with the physicals being done and all that. So keeping that in mind here for Şengün, you're facing a Boston team that's going to be down a few bodies. No Jaylen Brown. Sam Hauser also ruled out right before the show. Tough matchup on paper going against Queta, who's their better defensive center. But if Queta's going to have to play, his normal allotment of minutes, and then you have Garza playing the rest, certainly not a bad matchup for Şengün at that point. But another guy as well here, about a 4.8x value, not a screaming projection. I'm at 46.4 as well, which is higher than Stokastic has him at 44.9. But Şengün in the spot, getting Durant back in, just feels like you're paying a really aggressive price tag for a guy that can put up massive numbers like he did last time when Durant was out. But with Durant in, the ceiling gets a little bit lower for him. The floor probably remains about the same. Don't mind Şengün here, but I don't see him being a priority. If I were going to prioritize a guy, even though I'm getting more of Şengün right now, I'd probably prioritize Wemby a little bit more than Şengün. Donovan Mitchell, a tough matchup on paper going against the Clippers, who are a team that plays with low pace. Total today for the Cavs as well, not one of their better ones on the year with the overall game at 223.5 combined points. Cavs at 113. In this spot for Cleveland, it does seem to me with Garland, with Mobley off the court, your bigger rate winners are really Jared Allen, Jalen Tyson. Mitchell's still putting up about a 40% usage rate with those guys off, which is a lot, but Tyson going from about a 19% usage rate to 25 is a pretty big jump. Jared Allen with Mobley and Garland off the court going from 19% usage to 28. It's a really big jump. For Mitchell going from 33 to 39.5, like that's a big jump as well, but there's more to go around as well. So would say that for how it looks for Donovan Mitchell at this point, $9,600 salary, would say that he is one of those players where he's okay on the slate, and the fact he's in the last game of the slate too gives you that flexibility you want in case there is anything that breaks weird as the slate goes on. But for Donovan Mitchell, at 17% owned, I'm getting that exact same number. Just don't see him being a play that stands out super meaningfully compared to these other guys, but he is being owned like he's a tier above Jokic, SGA, Wemby, Şengün, and I'm not sure that's actually the case. Kawhi Leonard right behind him, same situation for him, getting no James Harden in that spot. Kawhi does take a pretty big rate uptick as well for having no James Harden, so I think the ceiling is definitely there for him. You got to start to question the motivation for guys like Kawhi, knowing that the Clippers got rid of him because Harden, I guess, pressed the issue about wanting his new deal, wanted to be guaranteed whatever money he's going to get, apparently from Cleveland now. Clippers didn't want to give it to him because they want to have all the flexibility in 2027. Kawhi's in that same situation. There's no trade rumors around him, maybe because of the aspiration stuff, him getting paid off the books or whatever. But Kawhi, at this point, I don't know what he's playing for. I do know this year with Harden off the court, he's put up 1.5 DK points per minute, 36% usage rate. I would question the motivation just a little bit for guys like Kawhi moving forward. But in this spot, I do think he's got a pretty big ceiling. Him putting up about 1.5 DK points per minute. You're talking about elevating him from the tier he's normally in, about a 1.3 guy, to that Jalen Johnson tier. And I don't think that's fully priced in at 9,300. So for Kawhi Leonard, 23% for the field, I'm getting 17. Again, one of my bigger stands amongst the pay-up options, but definitely a player here where he does projection-wise look very similar to all these other guys. None of them are great value. Anthony Edwards, we got coming up here as well. He's a Q tag along with Julius Randle. If either of those guys are out, the other one will look better. If both of them are out, it'll look completely different from Minnesota. But as it is right now, do you think that Anthony Edwards an okay play? In terms of priorities, I would say he's lower to me than Mitchell, than Kawhi, then Şengün, then Wemby. probably closer to the SGA Jokic amount of ownership I'll get. But in this spot, I think we need Randall to be out for this projection to look meaningfully better. About a 43 projection, $9,400 salary. You're basically playing him for the ceiling at a 10% ownership. I think that's kind of priced in already. Ryan Rollins getting KPJ in, not great for him today. You have Bobby Portis still out. Giannis obviously still out for the Bucks as well, as they decide if they're going to trade him before the deadline or not. But for Rollins at this point, still think he has a big ceiling. The question is, what does Kevin Porter Jr. play coming off injury? Is he going to start? If he's starting, he's going to meaningfully impact the amount of shots that Rollins is getting up. But basically, your Rollins right now has been kind of facing the squeeze from last game. Kyle Kuzma putting up 33% usage to 2 games before that, putting up 27% plus usage rates. His usage has been coming up. And Kyle Kuzma, if you watch a Bucks game, I know not a lot of you guys probably want to do that right now, but I think there is value in watching some of the games for teams that nobody else is paying enough attention to, your Wizards, your Bucks, those kind of squads. Kuzma just runs down the field, doesn't look at anybody else in the court, tries to get a shot up at the rim, tries to get a shot up wherever he can. That's what the team looks like a lot now, and Rollins can still get there. He's been a great producer, putting up generally about 1.3 to 1.5 fantasy sports minute in these games since Giannis went out. It seemed like he'd be off the team. But getting KPJ in is such like a volatile component coming in, where he's going to get up more shots than Portis. He'll rebound at a similar rate. If he's starting, I think he's going to really hurt all those guys enough, and they're priced for life, without Giannis and KPJ. So getting Porter Jr., if he's off the bench, I think I'm more willing to go to Rollins, but right now, Fields at 19% Rollins, I'm getting less. And you guys know how much I love Ryan Rollins, but KPJ is his kryptonite in terms of just what the role is in this offense. And he's just also, too, like, Rollins can be, and I know I'm very much in the bag for Ryan Rollins, Rollins can be like a 4th starter, 3rd starter, I think, on like a championship contending team. Probably not one that wins it, but like one that's feisty, because he plays good defense. He's long. He's a good shooter, creates assists, crashes the boards, is all the stuff you need to do. KPJ is just like empty calorie bullshit out there, and it like frustrates me. I do like Ryan Rollins more than KPJ. Ultimately, they're both very good fantasy assets, especially one of them is going to be out. But for Rollins right now, getting KPJ in, KPG having Rollins in, not really good for either of them. Peyton Pritchard, this is a late addition here. Peyton Pritchard played about 34.5 minutes yesterday, and that was, with no Simons, with Jaylen Brown in. The ceiling might get higher minutes-wise. The shitty part for Boston today, they are facing Houston, but Peyton Pritchard, now one of my top projected guys, my projection at 41.1. Stokastic still having Jaylen Brown in their data. He's at 29.2. I also did not get to take Sam Hauser out in the data before the show, so I think Pritchard's projection will come up a little bit more for losing one more shooter that does create some scoring, and replacing them with guys like your Jordan Walshes, your Hugo Gonzalez guys. So Peyton Pritchard can be a much more important play than he looked like. And right now, Stokastic data isn't reflected yet, but Pritchard and White going to be 2 very important plays we'll talk about more. All right, we got SGA announces injured. Is that the case here? SGA out 2 weeks. Okay. I thought they were trading for McCain because of AJ Mitchell being maybe more injured than it seemed, but I did make a mistake that. Vucevic not expected to play now. All right, so let's sort by value here. As I said that already, the guys who got traded are not playing for their new teams yet, besides DeAndre Hunter. I think is the only one that, and Schroeder, they're moving to their teams because they were consummated a day or whatever earlier. So they've already had their physicals. Everybody else got traded yesterday, not going to be available. So let's not ask that a bunch if we can. Ty Jerome, top value right now. So for Ty Jerome, the big thing that you're getting for Memphis, number one, you're playing Sacramento with a shortened rotation. Right now, if Aldama does play for Memphis, we've got Memphis at 115 implied points with a 10-man rotation, and that includes guys like Jamal Mashak barely playing, Javon Small playing backup point guard. For Ty Jerome, the big thing that stands out is he's putting up 1.7 DK points a minute this year. Now, what happens when you take off Jaren Jackson? Let's pull up the NBA Wowie for this one, so it doesn't have to be all. We can talk rates, not all trade talk. We got this year for Memphis. It's going to be a small sample size. We've had a lot of Ja Morant off, a lot of Zach Edey off. We take Jaren Jackson off. I think you make the case as well that you should take off Vince Williams to get a real read on what the rates are, because Vince Williams is one of those guys, does a little bit of everything and will open up some more opportunity. Landale, you should also take off as well, because he's put up a 1.3 DK points per minute when you have Morant, Edey, and Jaren Jackson off. Basically, these guys all produce pretty well when you take off your key Grizzlies. You got Ty Jerome putting up 1.7 DK points per minute. Jock Landale putting up 1.3, Javon Small putting up 1.3, Aldama putting up 1.2, Coward putting up 1.2, Cam Spencer putting up over 1, even GG Jackson, John Conchar putting up 0.9. These guys all produce pretty well. We take off Jock Landale. Let's take off Vince Williams too. We're getting to a pretty small group of Grizzlies at this point. Not a lot of sample size. But you see here, they're all playing a bit worse for the most part, besides Aldama at 1.2 DK points per minute. Cedric Coward's put up 1.5, only 77 possessions. So really, really far short of the 1,000 possessions we want for rates to be somewhat predictable. But you see the Grizzlies flatten out in a way where you have less big winners than when you have, the team at having Landale, having Vince Williams in, having at least a few guys that are, NBA caliber rotational players. So for how it looks right now, I think Ty Jerome is kind of a winner from this team. Overall, just not being as productive as we get to like the shortened versions of things. And that can't just be the small sample size. My guess is that, when you take off even, two more competent players, like Jock Landale, like Vince Williams, if you add Aldama onto that, you then have a bunch of guys that can't really get their own shot quite as well. So your Ty Jerome is more beneficial as a result. Cam Spencer, Javon Small to some extent more beneficial, though they will be blocked to some extent by Ty Jerome, whatever minutes that he can play. But I think Ty Jerome can still pay off is really the main thing here. Stokastic giving him 22 minutes. Because of the fact all those guys get such big rate upticks, I didn't boost or deboost Ty Jerome is a better way to say that. I kept his rates where they are this year. But Ty Jerome, if you guys remember back to last year, he's one of those guys, anytime the Cavs were shorthanded, I'd be out here pumping up the bags for Ty Jerome as much as possible. Now he's in that situation for Memphis where they've actually paid him the money that says he's kind of one of their guys, at least, rotational guys that they want to get healthy and be good. And now you have a team that might trade Ja Morant in the next 24 hours. Even if they don't, who knows how long he'll be out this year. A lot of this team is going to be building around Ty Jerome for the short term because he's a guy that's creating assists right now at about a 62% clip, 34% usage rate. Like, he's really the entire offense for the team. He's literally taken about every possession that's available when he's on the court. So I think you still want to be with Ty Jerome today. Fields at 29%. I got 48. I think being on that big of a stand might be too aggressive for some of you guys. But if I have half my lineups to Ty Jerome today facing Sacramento, and knowing the fact that he's put up, in his stint so far of about 40 minutes being played, 1.7 DK points a minute, it's not going to continue on forever. He's not going to be, Wemby, Nikola Jokic tier kind of contributor. But can he put up 1.5 in 24 minutes today? I think he can. So that's about where I'm at right now. Ty Jerome, I think, still a very good play, despite the price tag coming up at 5,500. Boston, Peyton Pritchard here. So again, Boston, no Jaylen Brown. I need to take out Sam Hauser, but he's still in the data right now. Vucevic, unable to make his debut today. So Peyton Pritchard, Derek White, could be two of your guys that come up a lot. Peyton Pritchard, to me, looks like the better player, like we talked about last time that Jaylen Brown was out. Pritchard and Derek White become very similar contributors, and I would say slight advantage for Peyton Pritchard in terms of what he gains rate-wise. Derek White seemingly going to play more minutes. Last night, he played 38 with no Simons. Pritchard played 34 and a half. But I think Peyton Pritchard, to me, better producer. So happy to get there. The field will not hold a 2% own because, again, Stokastic had not updated for everything before the show. But right now, I'm getting Peyton Pritchard at 25. If I had to guess, he'll be in about 25 to 33% of lineups ownership-wise, would be my guess. Cedric Coward, we saw the big rates that he puts up when we missed the various Grizzlies. It would only look better for him if Santi Aldama were out. But apparently, according to reports, Grizzlies considering Cedric Coward part of their future that they're building around now. So I think he and Zach Edey were the two that were quoted as guys that they view as the ones that you're going to get to. Think that for Cedric Coward at 5,200, the big thing is that you have so many guys that are out. He can produce a lot more, as we saw, putting up 1.5 fantasy points a minute in the very small sample size without all the Grizzlies that, he's seen court time with. But for Coward here, the big thing is you're facing Sacramento. I'm not going to move away ownership on any of these guys facing Sacramento today, especially if we get Aldama out on top of that, or, if God forbid anybody gets traded from the Grizzlies. I think you want to be with whatever ownership on Coward and carry it with you throughout the slate. And if you're above the field on Coward, great too, because you'll have flexibility to swap around when you know the starters for these games later on. Still waiting for a Coward ceiling game. Yeah, he hasn't hit one in a while. I mean, I think he set the bar a little bit unsustainably high at the beginning of the year with how he was shooting, really, he had 70% true shooting for the first month of the season, it felt like. And he also rebounded a little bit more than I think he should be. But sometimes these guys, they grow into their roles because of just having some players that were on the team not available. And seeing the fact that in, small sample size groupings without the Grizzlies, he's putting up 29% usage. I think that he thinks he's going to be the star of this group. Ty Jerome aside, I guess. Neemias Queta, again, with no Vucevic coming in here, the minutes should be about the same as they've been. Facing Houston, not a great thing on paper, but the lack of Celtics bodies available with Jaylen Brown being out, just even him alone. But taking him out, taking Hauser out, having Simons out still, and not replacing that with any new usage or bodies means that guys like Queta are going to look a little bit better. Right now, have him in 20% of my lineups. Fields at 6. Not a very fun play to me is Queta, really on most slates, but going against Houston in particular. But the situation with where we're at with no Jaylen Brown, and, again, the rest of the Celtics being out as well. I do think Cade is going to look better as a result. Pete Nance. So this morning, Stokastic had Pete Nance getting like 35 minutes of their data, and I was like, I don't know what they're doing. Like, I feel like they didn't pay attention to the first run they put out. No disrespect, because I get it's the first run. But for somebody like me that builds everything I do for the day around that, it's like, all right, what the fuck are they doing here? Pete Nance yesterday played 27 minutes. Now that we are getting Kevin Porter Jr., and I think the minute ceiling is going to get a little bit lower. He also actively took minutes away from Miles Turner yesterday. I don't think that happens all the time. So Pete Nance, an okay value on the slate at 3,700. We don't really have any screaming, cheap guy starters. We don't have any Indiana kind of guys like yesterday, and even any of the Utah guys. Nothing like that really. So Pete Nance may hold as a value at 3,700. But really, I just don't think the minutes ceiling is quite as high as it was yesterday. And you bring another body in, a body that can play high 20s minutes, might even play into the 30s if, Doc Rivers thinks he's fully healthy, and KPJ. And it's something that helps out Pete Nance at this point. But facing the Pelicans, good spot. Pete Nance, by the way, one of the guys I had yesterday. So, I am pro Pete Nance right now because I had him in lieu of Isaiah Jackson, which didn't matter too much. He ended up being a slightly worse play, but got me unique in one lineup that finished just outside the top 100 in the big tournament. And, for Pete Nance, I do think he's one of those guys to keep an eye on when we get Turner out at some point this year, let alone we get the Bucks fully tanking, and it's like, oh, no Kuzma, no Rollins, no Turner, no Portis. I think Pete Nance is one of those guys you really want to know the name of because he's going to go nuts in those kind of spots. But right now at 3,700, he's like the only value that's going to get rotational minutes. That's why it's coming up. GG Jackson. Fields at 33%. I'm getting 41. The big thing here is you're losing Jock Landale in addition to having no Zach Edey, in addition to losing Jaren Jackson. So GG Jackson's got to play minutes. He's a gunner out there. Wish he rebounded a little bit more. But overall for GG Jackson, putting up, as we talked about 0.9 DK points a minute with the various Grizzlies unavailable. That at 30 minutes will play well enough. At 5,100 facing Sacramento as well, he could definitely find his ceiling more so in terms of the shooting. So GG Jackson, not quite a value now at 5,100, but he's probably too cheap for what he's going to be for the Grizzlies moving forward as a guy where, they're going to play Aldama a lot. They're going to play Edey whenever he's healthy a lot, but I don't know when that's going to be. Jackson's going to be, as long as Brandon Clark stays out, safely their number 2, number 3 big. So Jackson got it used to the price tag at 5,100 because I think he'll be like a 6K player at some point. Javon Small, backup point guard, I guess, at this point with Cam Spencer in. But 3,200, he's been a great producer. Not quite Ty Jerome levels, but just shy of 1.3 DK points a minute in these various groups without the key Grizzlies that are no longer available or not available today. I think Javon Small is a value on a slate where we have no value, does pop up a little bit, but the field's at 7%. I'm getting 19. Really don't think you want to play a bench player a crazy amount at that much. And I don't think we're getting Quentin Jackson either yesterday, where it's like, okay, this guy is incredibly high usage. He's going to gun in the 20 minutes, whatever he plays. Javon Small is going to play kind of similar to Ty Jerome, but with less usage when he's out there. I think he's an okay play, but I would love to get better value. Jared Allen, big usage uptick with no Mobley, no Garland. I'm at 38.5 DK points today. Stokastic has him at 33.5. They have him a little bit lower. 15% owned is what he's getting with that projection. I'm at 32%. I do think Jared Allen carrying him on the slate throughout the entire slate for flexibility alone makes it worth keeping kind of a higher level of ownership. But he really has been a great producer when you take Mobley and Garland off. He becomes a much different player in terms of usage, shots at the rim, getting the ball in the post, really being able to contribute to the offense from the elbow a little bit, where he's creating screens, DHO kind of stuff as well that can create cheap assists. Jared Allen, I like in the spot though. Going against Zubac, never my favorite matchup. We did see Embiid find his floor recently going against Zubac. Santi Aldama, Q-Tag, as we talked about a lot here. He's been a great producer with the various Grizzlies unavailable. If he goes, he looks good. Fields at 35%. I'm at 47, and my projection of 34 is higher than Stokastic's at 32. But if Aldama doesn't go, you're officially really shorthanded for Memphis at that point. We're going to go game by game here, guys. Before we do that, please make sure to, I didn't even ask, I think, for last run around, so please make sure to really do it now. All 320 of you guys watching on Twitter and YouTube, hit that like button and subscribe. Goes a long way for me here. Again, I'm just one creator showing you my work across the NBA. This week is supposed to be a relaxing week for me with less NFL going on these days, wife and kid out of town. But no, the NBA trade deadline is making it very difficult to do these shows, but I still show up and do the work here Monday to Friday at 2 p.m. That is a promise I make to you guys, so please show some love back by hitting that like button and subscribe and help me keep fighting that good fight against the YouTube algorithm. Check out Stokastic as well. Again, their data and tools really do a great job. You can see every single slate. Guy who won yesterday won by, I think, like eight or so points, like had a pretty good gap. A Stokastic user winning yesterday. Happens every day, cross NBA, cross NHL, cross MLB soon, especially. Like, I feel like they really crushed MLB. So get in now, use promo code SPLASH over at Stokastic. Use the promo code when you sign up. You'll get 15% off any package, weekly, monthly, even yearly. So check it out for yourself. And last plug here for this go round, join the channel. Really goes a long way whether you join on the $5 tier as a supporter, get into the live chats in the Discord. If you join on the Squirt Squad or the VIP tiers, you get a lot more for it. You get all the stuff I show you on my splashplaypodcast.com site. In fact, if you join the Squirt Squad tier, you get this screen here, my matchup screen. You also get this matrix view here, the projection matrix, which I think is very valuable for you hand builders out there because you can see stuff, sim percentage, sort by it. You can see the ownership, sort by that. Really figure out how you want to build your lineup out. For me, when I'm building lineups on stream, I sort by the sim percentage, so making winning lineups the most, build off of that. And we've built some pretty good lineups on stream lately. So I think this tool would be great if you join the Squirt Squad tier. If you join the VIP tier, you get my projections to do whatever you want with. You get simulation data across 10,000 contest sims, also updated throughout the night. And you get exportable projections for Stokastic. So you can just take this data over there, run a Stokastic sim with my data if you want. But lots of cool stuff if you join the site or join the channel down below. So please do that if you can, because it really does support what I'm doing here. And at this point, if I can make most of the money from selling memberships to you guys for data that I know is helping people win money on a nightly basis, that'd be great. So please join down below and do that. Very easy to sync your YouTube to your Discord, and that gets you access to the splashplaypodcast.com site. All right, let's zoom back in a little bit here. We got Denver at the Knicks. We're going to go game by game here. 226.5 combined points here. Josh Hart, Q-tag on the Knicks side is really the only thing injury-wise that matters at this point. Again, not a lot of ownership here. Kind of the same thing as we talked about yesterday for the Denver game against Detroit. Not a great total. Today as well, we don't have the screaming value yet that allows you to easily get to a Nikola Jokic. So it's one of those spots where if you play Jokic today, people won't play him as much as they normally would with his minutes being down lately, but his price tag is down more than enough, I think, to justify that if you can get there. But really, for Denver's side, I think getting to Jokic 5 to 10% would be enough for me. Everything else here, if it mixes in a little bit, cool, but nobody on the team is a 4.5x value. There's not priced to be fully strength and also have this bad of a total going against the Knicks. Knicks on their side. Karl-Anthony Towns, your highest owned guy at 19%. I'm getting 10 right now. Liked him yesterday versus the Wizards. That ended up paying off pretty well. Today in this spot, going against Denver, a little bit less hospitable of a situation. But 8,300, not a bad price tag. You unfortunately get Robinson back, and excuse me. If you get Josh Harton as well, it wouldn't be any real gain here for Towns like it was yesterday with no Robinson in, where he does gain some rebound upside as well. And I think a little bit of usage from Robinson being out too, because just the ball's in his hands slightly more. But Josh Hart being out would make the Kolek Clarkson tier of value look a little bit better. I think it would also make Towns, Anunoby, Bridges, Brunson project slightly better as well. But I don't think there's going to be anything you're going to have in this game no matter what, at least, projection-wise. Certainly, though, this game, low enough owned, should be competitive. Two quality enough teams, two playoff teams at the very least on both sides. So that could be something that pays off. Minnesota at Toronto, 227.5 combined points. Again, with Ants and Randall as Q tags, it would be a different situation with these guys. One of them were out, then the entire team would look better. If both were out, the team would look entirely different. And Bones Highland, that tier of guys, would start to pop up exponentially more. But as it is right now, with Randall and Edwards in, don't really see a lot of love to get to here. A lot of guys floating around in trade rumors too with the Giannis stuff. Apparently, the Bucks want Jaden McDaniels plus picks, which feels pretty reasonable, I think, if you're getting Giannis on the way back. But Timberwolves don't want to give up Jaden McDaniels because he's such a great defender. So we'll see what happens in that situation. But, that could be one of those things where maybe you get Ant and Randall playing, McDaniels out if the Giannis trade gets consummated in the next couple hours. Just talking about all the unforeseen stuff, I guess, that we can maybe vaguely foresee. But really the big thing, needing to know Randall and Edwards' status. Till we get there, it doesn't look that playable right now. But again, should be another spot, competitive game. Two good teams at Minnesota and Toronto. Ownership in Toronto's side here, coming mostly to RJ Barrett. Fields at 21%. I have him at 14. Barrett, my least favorite of the Raptors generally, but had his price tag 6,300. You get why he's coming up. Quickly, to me, better player per minute. You know, that's actually not true. 102 fantasy points per minute this year for Quickly, 1.1 for Barrett. Barrett's better than I give him credit for in my head. Barrett actually outproducing Ingram this year at 1.08, and Barrett's at 1.09. All right. Maybe a way to recontextualize Barrett a little bit. The minutes, though, being lower is part of the issue for him. Still don't think at 21% ownership, you're screaming to get to Barrett anyway. We're going to have better value that opens up when Stokastic updates their data in a moment. So I think Barrett, an okay guy to mix in. I guess he's your most appealing Raptor here. To me, though, like Barnes, the one, if I get there, I'm never going to have an issue with it. Ingram to a lesser extent, Quickly to a much lesser extent when everybody's healthy. But Barrett's cheap at 6,300. And still no Pirtle, obviously, for Toronto, but at that point, you know, you should know this by now. Boston at Houston, 214.5 combined points here. So the big thing, losing Jaylen Brown, Hauser as well, still in the data, but that's another 28 minutes that have to go somewhere. If I had to guess, go into the Walsh, Hugo, Shireman, Minot tier of guys. But really the big winners for Jaylen Brown being out are going to be Peyton Pritchard and Derek White. Again, Stokastic didn't really have these guys being owned the data because they hadn't updated yet for Jaylen Brown being out. But if I had to guess, Peyton Pritchard will be about a 25-33% play when they update. Derek White, more like a 20-25% play. But both guys should play a lot of minutes today because Boston, with no Simons, has no real point guards left. And you don't, and it's one of those things I heard my good friend Eric Lindquist talking about it on Stokastic, like, who's going to ring the ball up for Utah? And it ended up being a thing where, like, he was right. They played Isaiah Collier a lot. They still have guys that aren't like a true point guard bringing the ball up. Like C. McKayluke was playing center for Utah yesterday, was bringing the ball up a lot because he just like is desperate to get shots up for himself to earn one more contract. I think is how, listen to Jeff Teague's podcast, like really highlights how much of the NBA you watch is just guys trying to get one more contract from either the team they're on or another team out there. But you know, like guys will handle the ball that aren't Pritchard and White, but still most of like the actual shot creation will come from Pritchard and White. So they should be out there a good amount. Again, Derek White played 38 minutes yesterday with Jaylen Brown in because they didn't have Simons. Peyton Pritchard played 34.5 minutes yesterday with Jaylen Brown in because they didn't have Simons. So the fact it's back-to-back, maybe that keeps the minute ceiling slightly lower. But I think Peyton Pritchard and Derek White, like, they might get the Collier treatment today. Like, they'll have each other sub in for some portions of the game. But if these guys play 40-plus minutes, still can hit even against a tough Houston team at their price tags. Neemias Queta, I don't love the matchup for him, but perhaps a bit of a farewell to arms kind of situation with him getting the starting center job, perhaps taken away from Vucevic, though he still might start. Vucevic coming off the bench is a possibility. But Queta at this point, Fields at 6%, I'm getting 20. Again, without having updated for Jaylen Brown being out. Queta, I think, a better player than he would be in the situation where Jaylen Brown were in, but still not a guy I'm super stoked to get to. Like, she doesn't get a lot of usage, you know, and going against Houston, can he rip boards? I guess, but like Houston's a good shooting team, so not crazy about the Queta ownership coming my way right now. Josh Minot, if he does get back in the rotation, 3K minimum salary, has been a producer previously, 0.9 fantasy points minute on the year, can shoot a little bit. Obviously, they fell out of favor with him, but they might just have to play Minot a good amount today because he's the kind of guy that, not quite a guard, will play defense, though, against anybody you ask him to, will rebound a little bit while he's out there to get some shots up. Minot, one of the guys I think can be a minutes winner just from the Boston guys having not a lot available. Houston on their side, Şengün, the one that stands out the most, $9,700 salary at power forward center. Fields at 8%, I'm getting 12. Again, soft matchup on paper going against Boston and just the talent level being a little bit lower should help out Şengün theoretically. But, you know, getting Durant back in, I feel like Şengün would not be priced $9,700 against Boston if Durant were out, or if Durant weren't available, excuse me. Think that this price tag is reflecting more a situation where Durant, maybe they thought he'd miss one more game. So I don't know. Şengün, I want to make the case for him because I do feel like it's the kind of spot where the ball could just be in his hands a lot if Boston does fail here, as they very much can, being shorthanded and just lacking bodies. But 10% for Şengün, I think that's enough. I think that's enough. Pelicans at Bucks. Thunder surrendering tonight. All the big names just announced out. All right, well, that'll be something that definitely is different in the data. Unfortunately, we'll not have that for you guys on the stream, but it'll be updated on splashplaypodcast.com when things change around. But we got Dort out. All right, you can see here on Twitter. You got Dort out, Holmgren out, AJ Mitchell out. I think that was expected anyway. Caruso out, Jang out. At this point, is that going to be an 8-man rotation? Well, I'm taking these guys out real fast. We're not at this game, but it's the kind of thing you guys want to know about. So I'll try to quickly. Hartenstein out. Holmgren out. Dort out. My God. Probably going to be a big Aaron Wiggins spot. A.J. Mitchell out. Sorry, I'm just taking everybody out on the sheet. They still don't have Sorber. They don't have Topic. I think it's going to be a 10-man rotation. No, because they still have SGA in. Shit. Sorry, guys. I know this is a belabored process for the almost 400 of you watching live, but sometimes just how we got to do this, take a quick look at things. All right. Yeah, Jang is out too. Jang was in the data from Stokastic before. Fuck, man. I hope Stokastic gets an update up before we hit their sims, because this is now completely different. Okay, yeah, so OKC 8-man rotation with Wiggins, Jalen Williams, Kason Wallace, Kenrich Williams, Kenny Hustle. Kenny Hustle back in the picture. Isaiah Joe, Brandon Carlson, Youngblood, Barnheiser. So starting group probably of Kason, Joe, Wiggins. Ooh, if you get a Kenny Hustle start. Kenrich Williams and Jalen Williams would be my guess. Whew. All right, well, that's gonna be a mess. But yeah, you guys know you know my love of Kenrich Williams. Kenny Hustle will definitely be coming up when that does update at some point. All right, Pelicans and Bucks. Pelicans not the most appealing team on the slate. And this Thunder stuff's gonna move things around exponentially as well. Saddiq Bey is popping up in the data a lot lately. Now he's only at a 31.8 projection. Stokastic has him at 31.2. Look, I like Bey a lot. My data's been all over Bey during this rise lately. Still think you're going to get games closer to low 30s, mid 30s, a little more reliably coming up. But it's hard to critique Bey. The minutes have been great for him. Them not playing a point guard has clearly benefited. Saddiq Bey doesn't even make sense why, really, but he kind of takes partial possessions away a little bit more. Like, you'll have one other guy bringing up the ball, then Bey gets to initiate in the half court, and then he just ends up taking the shot more than he should. But I'm above on Bey again, getting 19%, Fields at 17. Not sure if that's going to hold with all the Bucks stuff, but Saddiq Bey at 6,500. Like, sometimes these players get my data, and it's like, I don't mind getting them for multiple slates in a row. It's like, you're a little bit too cheap for what the ceiling has been lately. But, the field's definitely aware of that at this point for Saddiq Bey. Trey Murphy, another guy I'm always cool getting to at 7,800. Point guard eligibility makes it a little bit tougher for him. He's a lights out shooter, can hit in any spot. Going against a Bucks team that's not particularly good defensively. Definitely one of those spots. But really, a team like this for the Pelicans, everybody's kind of priced where they should be. They end up just kind of disappearing on a slate for the most part when you have something like that Thunder situation. To a lesser extent, the Celtics situation opening up. Milwaukee on their side. Getting KPJ in, I don't think good for anybody. Was really trying to weigh how much usage you give to Kuzma lately, because he's been gunning since Giannis officially left the rotation, let's say it that way. With KPJ in, I think you're probably not going to love a lot of these guys. Kuzma, to me, I don't really get in my data unless I'm going to juke the rates and do something that he's not really doing. His usage with Giannis off the court still isn't as high as it's been the last couple games this year. He's only putting up about 22% usage opposed to like the 33% he put up last game, 27 to change in 2 games before that. So for Kuzma, I don't see the case to get there with Kevin Porter Jr. in personally, even though he's gone nuts. Went for, just shy of 60 yesterday. Pete Nance is a value like we talked about. There's not really great value on the slate. The Thunder may change that situation around a little bit. But even then, you're not going to get guys that are like sub 4K in the Thunder. So I think that for how it looks for Pete Nance, he'll still be a decent value no matter what. I just do question the minute ceiling there. Like, he played 27 minutes, I believe, yesterday. But a lot of that came with Miles Turner just not playing as much. I think that there is a push-pull dynamic there where you're not getting both those guys on the court very often. KPJ, I wouldn't play coming off injury. Rollins, I'll play less. Turner, I'll play less. AJ Green, I'll play less. Thunder here, let's just skip over this, but basically, just a quick look at data. I think you're going to have the best producers looking like Wiggins, Jalen Williams, Kason Wallace, Kenrich, Isaiah Joe. My data, I think, is going to support Kenrich and Joe pretty aggressively, but Wiggins will still be there for me. Jalen Williams will still be there for me. Yeah, Thunder is just a mess. check the Discord, check my data on splashplaypodcast.com when it updates. But Thunder now, it's hard to talk about this game. Spurs, obviously, the total should move here as well. Would have thought with the total being 1.5 favoring the Thunder that we would get a shot of some guys playing. Actually, just real fast. Let's see what the spread is right now, because this must have moved already. If it didn't move, should be betting the Spurs. Wow. So it went from Thunder favored by 1.5 to Spurs favored by 8.5. That's got to be one of the biggest shifts in line immediately I can recall off the top of my head. All right, so that's now just it's a totally different fucking game. I mean, Castle's still going to look good, I think. Wemby's still going to look like a playable, pay up option. Castle, I feel the best about out of this group because I think the minutes get a little bit less shortened if the Thunder don't show up. Yeah, it's a mess of a game, but Wemby and Castle, I think, still the only guys I'd really want to play. Fox, I suppose, playable. Memphis at the Kings. So Santi Aldama, Q-tag. This matters a lot because if he's out, you're going to get really, I would say, borderline endless minutes for GG Jackson to a lesser extent. Omax, Olivier Maxence Prosper. But with Santi Aldama in, he looks like one of the better plays. Ty Jerome, that is. Santi Aldama, Cedric Coward, all in about half my lineups. The Thunder guys are going to mess this up a little bit, but I still think the Grizzlies, no matter what, it is a much easier situation for the Grizzlies defensively going against the Kings. But the Thunder are so shorthanded that there's trade-offs, whichever side you're going to pick, but you're going to get a lot of both sides, I think, in lineups. Man. Yeah, for Wells has been playing well lately. He made my lineup the other night, and he didn't kill it. So I'm trying to reassess Jalen Wells in my brain as a guy that just doesn't produce that well. 0.77 fantasy points minute, but with the Grizzlies being shorthanded, he's able to do a little bit more. So guys like Jalen Wells tend to be one of the bigger beneficiaries right away, and people just don't catch up on it because projections don't pop in any real way. Because for the most part, when you have like your full rotation, he's a 3-and-D guy. But when you're in skeleton crew times, like guys like Jalen Wells start to do a little bit more of everything. Javon Small, just don't see him being a mega play to me with Ty Jerome and Cam Spencer being available. But Javon Small, 7% for the field. I'm getting 19. The fact he's 3,200, kind of like a Cam Jones type yesterday, where not dead minimum salary, which made Cam Jones more appealing as a late starter for the Pacers, or guy that didn't get announced till right before the game locked. But for Small, the issue is like he's not a starter and he's not minimum salary. So like, I think he can produce if he plays, but if Ty Jerome's minutes go up at all, it's not great for Javon Small. Castle Q-tag. Wonder if he just takes the rest day. It's possible. It's possible. I mean, I would think you play the young guy against the team that he could beat up on a little bit if he can go, but it definitely can make San Antonio rule guys out. Kings on their side, despite no Schroeder, nobody really taking a big uptick here. Obviously, you have enough guys that could fill minutes at this point, even with Schroeder out. You do get DeAndre Hunter in for a few minutes. Not anything that's going to really matter too much, but it does make the lineup look a little bit less beneficial when you had like Keegan Murray out. Now you're filling kind of those minutes with a Keegan Murray-esque producer for 18.5 minutes in Stokastic data. I don't see it for the Kings. Sabonis still in trade rumors, though it seems like the Wizards were the ones that wanted him, and now they got AD for a similar package. So I don't think Sabonis gets traded today. But if he did, nothing still would look that good. You would get more Cardwell, more Raynaud, probably a Raynaud start. Yeah, I don't think the Kings are the team on this slate. Last but not least, Cleveland at the Clippers. Again, we're not going to have Garland and Harden in this one because they've not passed their physicals yet to actually get the trade through. But Donovan Mitchell, Fields 17%. I'm getting 17. Like I mentioned, Allen and Tyson, they'll look like the better place to me. Their rate should take massive jumps up for the guys that are missing. Whereas, Mitchell gets a lot more usage, but he's already getting every shot up anyway for the team. So not a lot more for him to gain. But Tyson and Allen right now in about a third of my lines for Jared Allen, 25% for Tyson. This value opening up might change things, but I will still defend that I think Allen and Tyson are good plays. And Mitchell, having these guys on a slate where you have all the flexibility throughout the slate, it's the last game that we have today at 10:30. I think it's worth having some exposure to these guys no matter what. And they still are good plays. They're just not going to be as good as Thunder guys, etc. Clippers on their side, to me, it's mostly Kawhi here. Fields at 23%. Not sure if that's going to go up or down based upon the various ways the slate has moved since Stokastic data updated. But Kawhi producing about 1.5 DK points per minute with Harden off the court. That's something I think you want to have some exposure to no matter what. Chris Dunn popped up a little bit for me the other day with Harden out. His rates do take a pretty big jump up, but I just really don't trust Chris Dunn, so I'm not dying to get there. Fields at 6% and change. I'm at 9. That might go away with the various Thunder guys. John Collins, Fields at 14%. I'm at 9. I used to love John Collins in my data, but he's not been the same player this year for the Clippers. I don't see it for John Collins as much as the field has lately, but he's hit a few times, so you can get there. The Clippers side, to me, mostly Kawhi. These other guys I just don't think you need on the slate now with everything else that's opened up. All right, let's go to my sims real fast here. We'll show the data from 10,000 contest sims. We'll see. Has Stokastic updated? They have. All right, Stokastic is updated too, so that's good news. So we'll see some fresh data hot off the presses. But let's see my simulation data before everything updated here. So Cedric Coward is making half my top winning lineups across 10,000 contest sims. Ty Jerome, 48%. Santi Aldama, 47%. Gigi Jackson, 41%. And Jared Allen, 32%. Gotta imagine these guys will come down. Thunder players will come up. But these guys will still be good plays no matter what. The guys with 30 plus the most on the slate: Jokic, Wemby, Şengün. 40 plus the most: Jokic, Wemby, SGA. Not anymore. Şengün will fill in there. 50 plus: Jokic, Wemby, Donovan Mitchell. 60 plus: Jokic, SGA, Donovan Mitchell, Wemby. So SGA being gone, not a lot of guys that are going to be projected to hit 60 plus on the slate. Guys at 5x the most: Ty Jerome, 80% of the time. Kate is 76. Peyton Pritchard, 75. Just out of Coward and Nance. Guys at 6x the most in the slate across 10,000 contest sims: Ty Jerome at 60%, Peyton Pritchard at 50%, Coward at 45%, Kate at 40%. So really important, I think, to keep this part in mind here, because the Thunder stuff is going to move everything around so meaningfully, but it doesn't make these guys less good plays. It just means that they're going to be a little bit less of a shiny new toy as opposed to all the Thunder value that opened up. All right, let's go to Stokastic next. And guys, remember, my sim data you get by joining the VIP tier down below, so please do that. Stokastic changed their sim thing in a way. I guess I'll show it to you guys. If you go here and you're like, why won't the sim load? It's because the tab the sim used to load on, you have to load on a different way. So you have to go to contest generator, which used to be like a thing you select up top. But now you got to do it over here. I feel like, no disrespect to Stokastic, obviously love them as a company. They could use some UX experts. I think that's what I'd recommend. But either way, it is a great product over there. We'll talk about that more in a moment. Before we do, guys, please show some love. About 420 of you guys watching. Nice. Smoke them if you got them. Hit the like button, though. Subscribe if you can. Again, I'm showing up and doing the work here. It's a chaotic world of the NBA right now, but yet I make my promise to you guys that I will be here Monday to Friday at 2 p.m. preparing you as best as possible for DFS, of course, in particular. But a lot of you guys watch the video for betting stuff, just to understand the NBA better. It's been awesome to hear that from some of the kind comments you guys have left lately. But I'm just going to keep showing up and doing the work here, guys. So please help me on the journey here to keep growing this channel by hitting that like button and subscribing. Check out Stokastic as well. Again, great tools, even if, you know, again, the UX, maybe you can always critique something, right? But what you can't critique is the results they get for their customers. So check them out, link down below. 15% off the promo code SPLASH. Again, weekly packages, monthly packages, even yearly. It's all 15% off over at Stokastic. So check it out if you want to get with the really lots of winners they've had lately across their site, again, including the guy who won 100K solo yesterday. And last but not least, join the channel here. If you want access to the live chat or the Discord, it's $5. If you want access to all the stuff I show you guys on my splashplaypodcast.com site, lots of cool data for the NBA, college data for NFL up right now, soon similar tools and data for MLB. Getting on the ground floor and support what I'm doing here by joining the Squirt Squad or VIP tiers. And you can scroll back if you want to see some of the screens that you'll get on my website if you join there. All right, let's zoom in slightly here. Your top ROI lineups and Stokastic data, which did just update about 8 minutes ago, so hot off the presses. We got Peyton Pritchard at number 1, Derek White along with him, Aaron Wiggins making it, so Thunder updated as well. Jalen Williams, Wembanyama, Cedric Coward, Kenrich Williams, Isaiah Joe. So again, a lot of Thunder in here. 1, 2, 3, 4 Thunder players making this top ROI lineup. Stokastic did update ownership, so that should hold as the kind of lineup it'll think is good. And you can afford your pay-up option Wemby very easily. So I guess honestly in this build, you're kind of expecting it to be a competitive game where Wemby plays 4 quarters and these guys force him to play 4 quarters. Number 2, you have Derek White again, Chris Youngblood, who should be starting, I think, at point guard for the Thunder. At the very least, he'll get regular, reliable guard minutes today. Aaron Wiggins, Jordan Walsh, Karl Anthony Towns, Kason Wallace, Jalen Williams again. Nikola Jokic makes this one, so different pay-up options with Towns and Jokic. But you're getting your value, getting your Thunder guys, getting some Celtics value as well. Shout out Squeak Diesel for the super sticker. I appreciate that a bunch. Number 3, we got Derek White, Isaiah Joe, Aaron Wiggins again, Jalen Williams again, Wemby again, Coward again, Kenny Hustle again, Avika Zubac makes this one. Different approach at center. Seems like right now they're just rotating centers around and playing the same players around it. Number 4, Peyton Pritchard again, Anthony Edwards, Aaron Wiggins, Jalen Williams, Karl Anthony Towns, Kason Wallace, Kenny Hustle, Kendrick Williams yet again, Cedric Coward yet again. And number 5, you got Kason Wallace, Derek White, Hugo Gonzalez, Jalen Williams, Karl Anthony Towns, Isaiah Joe, Aaron Wiggins, Wemby. I mean, look, Hugo Gonzalez, I get why he's coming up. The Celtics are just down a lot of bodies, but I feel like we got better value than Hugo Gonzalez, but he'll make some lineups. I'm beaming here. I'm like a proud dad. Top ROI players, Kenny Hustle, number 1, 39% ROI. When there are stats to go around for OKC, Kenrich Williams is your guy. Now, the issue is like he does often play the backup big man, but I think what'll happen today is you'll get Carlson playing the backup big man. You'll get Kenrich Williams starting, and if Kenrich Williams is starting, I mean, I just hope it's not him off the bench because there's a chance you could get Barnheiser starting Kenrich Williams off the bench. I'll still take shots on Kenrich Williams no matter what. Like, I will say that. He's such a great producer in every category, does a little bit of everything, like gets steals and blocks too. So do not sleep on him, whether he's starting or off the bench. But, you know, he would definitely look better if he's starting. Aaron Wiggins, number 2, 34% ROI for him. Jalen Williams, number 3, 34% ROI. Isaiah Joe, number 4, all Thunder players up top, 28% ROI. Again, this is how DFS works, guys. Sometimes people I know, I see it on Stokastic chats in particular, where we have the large crush of free chatters on there. No disrespect to like anybody out there, but like it's just you get more of a sample size of what people are saying, and it's like you'll see people go like, "Well, I'm not going to trust the Thunder today because they're missing all their good players." And it's like we talked about yesterday for Indiana and Utah. It's like these are the times you play these teams. Like these are times you go nuts about these teams because there's so many possessions to go around, and no matter what, the Thunder is still going to score most likely about 100, real life points in the NBA today. They have to go somewhere, and they're missing every guy who normally gets shots up for their team. So for the Thunder, this is what DFS is you get this up top with 4 Thunder guys. Number 5, you got Nikola Jokic, positive ROI. Kason Wallace, another Thunder guy, positive ROI. Derek White, slightly positive ROI for him across the entire set of lineups too. That's all 5,000. That's not just the ones that we selected. Thunder Scrubs make a nuclear to protect Holmgren's honor. I'm sure they love Chet. They love his love of oxtail and traditional Minnesota white guy foods. We got Jalen Williams, your top exposed player across Stokastic's top 150. He's at 78% of lineups, Fields at 23. I don't think the field's actually going to be at 23 here. I think that ownership's a little bit light, but if the ownership were that light, you should play Jalen Williams a lot. Aaron Wiggins, 74% exposure, Fields at 22. Big stands on Jalen Williams and Aaron Wiggins here. Not a surprise. We saw the Thunder ROIs up top. Kenrich Williams is in 50% of lineups, Fields at 11. Again, if Kenrich Williams starts, he might put up 40 today. Kenny Hustle, always my guy, but he's in half Stokastic's lineups as well, so definitely not a sneaky play today. Isaiah Joe, 49% exposure, Fields at 14. If I have to guess, they're going to knock these ownerships up a lot when they update. But right now, Thunder guys, they want in half to 3/4 of your lineups, and hard to argue it. Number 3, Derek White, 25% owned by the field. Stokastic has you at 46. And then Cedric Coward, 34%, Fields at 41. All right. Peyton Pritchard, not too far behind either. He's making 40% of lineups. This is a wacky one. Jalen Williams, 55% leverage on him. He's being played at 78% of Stokastic's top 150, Fields at 23. Massive stand on Jalen Williams, but you get why. He should be your starting center, and he does have triple-double upside, even though it has not felt like he said it that often this year. Aaron Wiggins, 52% leverage on him. Again, I think the ownership will come up a little bit, but him being in about 3/4 of the lineups from Stokastic, I don't know if that's going to move too much. Kenrich Williams, 39% leverage on him. I love it. Isaiah Joe, 34% leverage on him. I get it. Derek White, 21% positive leverage on him. Kason Wallace right behind. Wemby right behind as well. Shout out Consigliere. I don't know what tier you joined on, but Consigliere, one of my longest-term friends on the YouTube communities out here. Of course, the NFL channel at Splash Play Pod. Shout out Consigliere. Hope you got good access for yourself with that membership, but thanks for joining and always supporting the show. Your biggest fades, Chris Youngblood. So Chris Youngblood's been terrible. Like, he's really been AJ Mitchell, like the worst versions of AJ Mitchell in previous years. AJ Mitchell this year, as you guys know, I think is pretty good. But Youngblood, this year hasn't played a ton, but only 0.74 fantasy points per minute, 51.4% true shooting. He has been okay from the free throw line, so maybe it gets better. 90% free throw shooter so far. And he does chuck threes, 15 threes per 100 possessions. So maybe Youngblood can get there. I think you still have to play him a little bit because he's 3,200 and probably going to start. But I have to say, like, he is the worst. Like this Thunder like farm where they have a bunch of guys. And you go down the depth chart. It's like, wow, this guy's still good. This guy's still good. When you get to the Youngblood, Barnheiser tier of guys, they're not very good. So I'll say that out loud. Barnheiser, I didn't even see who's next. Barnheiser, though, number 2 here, only 1% exposure, fields at 14. He does nothing on a court. Only producing 0.55 DK points per minute this year. 11 rebounds per 100 possessions, maybe the only thing you'd make the case for him. He might start today, but I do think if he starts, you still get Kenrich Williams playing over him at some point. Santi Aldama, number 3 here. He is going to be a negative 13% leverage play. GG Jackson, negative 11% leverage on him. I think he's a better play than Stokastic, giving him credit for, but the Thunder guy is opening up his value. Maybe moves that around. Would say, though, if Aldama's out, I think at that point, GG Jackson going to be a good play no matter what data you're looking at. And then Ryan Rollins, it hurts to see him as a top fade here, but with KPJ in, I get it. Negative 9% leverage on Ryan Rollins. Got a ceiling, guys, but not the spot I'm going to make a big advocacy case for him today. Just couldn't ask questions from Mary. There you go. That's true. You do need to be a member here to ask questions. You need to be able to min to OKC, mem, or both. What? You joined to ask a question, which I don't think was English. I would say, though, the fact that you're saying a very obvious build and thinking that's going to make you print, I don't know that's going to be the case. That's going to be the way that everyone's going to try to build tonight. If I had to guess, what's the most likely outcome now is that you're going to probably have Wemby be over-owned in Thunder stacking. I think you're going to have, in general, people just putting all the value in and trying to put in the pay-up option that hits a ceiling around it. I think what's probably most appealing, just how these slates work out, is that you build a more balanced team and you get like some 9K guys, you get your Derek White, you get your Peyton Pritchard. But, you know, it'll be very easy to afford all the pay-up options. I do think, though, that Wemby will be the first one people go to because there is an assumption from sharp DFS players, as there should be, if the Thunder, you know, play well enough DFS-wise that, you know, you have 4 of them making a winning lineup, you probably had that game be competitive, and then you probably saw 4 quarters of Wemby. But that doesn't mean that 4 quarters of Wemby is going to beat out Jokic. Doesn't mean it's going to beat out your different configurations with, like, Cat and some other centers. So, but yeah, loading up on value and playing Wemby is going to be, like, a very obvious build. All right, point guard. It's going to be tough to use my matrix on because now we have all the Thunder guys moving things around. I'm still going to put in Ty Jerome here. I am team Ty Jerome. He definitely looks like a less good play in Stokastic data now, but I'll defend him going against Sacramento with how he's played this year. Let me zoom out a little bit. All right, shooting guard. Shooting guard for me would be Coward. At a certain point, we're going to have to put in our Thunder value, but we're not going to do that yet. Small forward, I think would be GG Jackson. Why is GG Jackson a small forward? I don't believe he should be a small forward. But Aaron Wiggins now more of a priority play, I think, for the Sims. Let's put in Wiggins here. I am going to put in Kenny Hustle at power forward. I am going to put in Jalen Williams at center. So you can play him at power forward too if you want. I'm not playing him. You know, I'm gonna play him at forward. I'm gonna play Jared Allen at center. My data still does like Jared Allen. And so you can see here, we plunked in pretty much all the value. Wiggins, Kenrich, Jalen Williams, those are the ones I trust the most. Now, I think this is where you'd probably go Isaiah Joe. I don't know that we need Isaiah Joe on the slate. That leaves us 12-4. And he gets a Jokic. $700 left on the table. I think probably coming off Ty Jerome is what the sim will prefer. The team that we build here, Ty Jerome, Cedric Coward, Aaron Wiggins, Kenrich Williams, Jared Allen, Isaiah Joe, Jalen Williams, Nikola Jokic. 250% ROI. I think they got to update that ownership. That's too high of an ROI. This wins 0.8% of the time. 5% top 10. Yeah. Having FOMO after that 80 burger. I mean, again, he's a really good player per minute when the guys are off the court. Obviously, he won't produce, you know, as much as that ceiling every time. And against the Clippers should be a little bit of a lower floor spot. But all right, what else can we do here? How would it complete this lineup? We got Coward, Wiggins, Kenrich, Isaiah Joe. Let's have it complete the lineup. What would it do here? It would go Wemby, Peyton Pritchard. I do like Peyton Pritchard and get him in. Derek White. This might sim even better. Derek White, Isaiah Joe, Aaron Wiggins, Kenrich Williams, Wemby, Coward, Jalen Williams, Peyton Pritchard. 212% ROI. So slightly lower ROI. If I had to guess, probably a little bit more doopy. All right, guys. Well, this is a chaotic slate, but I hope you guys got some value to this video. I will give you guys my splash plays for today, and I'll try to account for all the stuff with the Thunder that is updated as well. Before I do that, though, one last ask. Please make sure to hit that like button and subscribe. Goes a long way for me here. Again, I'm just doing the best I can to show you guys my gambling across the NBA every day. But I do show up and do the work here Monday to Friday at 2 p.m., doing the best I can, no matter how chaotic the data looks before the slate. I put it all together, try to help you guys make sense of it. And that is what my promise I will continue to do every Monday to Friday at 2 p.m. So please help me out. Hit that like button, subscribe. Let's help us keep growing this channel, even though NBA DFS, people giving up on NBA DFS. They're doing less content. And no, let's keep doing more because there's still a lot of people that play these games on a given day. And especially that bet on it. Check out Stokastic too. You want to see the sim products I showed you guys here? Get them for 15% off. Click the link down below, then use promo code SPLASH when you get over there. That will get you 15% off any package, weekly, monthly, even yearly. So go check it out right now. Even if you don't want to get NBA, get another sport, get golf, use a different email, get golf. I don't know, follow your heart. But go check it out. Use promo code SPLASH over there, 15% off. When you use that promo code when you sign up. And last but not least, join the channel here. $5 to join as a supporter, get into the live chats and all that. But also, for you guys that want to get to the Discord, $5. If you want to get all my data on the splashplaypodcast.com site, go there to learn more. But you got to join the Squirt Squad and VIP tiers. Then you'll get all the screens I showed you here on stream today. All right, so we got splash plays of the day. Okay. Still Ty Jerome for me. I'm going to go with that. Peyton Pritchard, Derek White are going to be core plays. How much they will be in that core, I don't know, but I know they project well. I still think they're very good plays, despite going against Houston. Kenny Hustle, Kenrich Williams has got to be one of the core plays. Think whether he starts or plays off the bench. Feel a lot better if he's starting alongside Jalen Williams because that means they can play minutes together and we're now not locked to him competing for just backup 5 minutes. But I think Kenrich Williams is the kind of guy in the spot, should produce well. Wiggins and Jalen Williams as well. They're going to be in a ton of lineups for me, even if I personally have a preference towards Kenrich. If he plays Aldama, I like him. If he doesn't play Chi Jackson, it's going to be a mess, guys. But you'll know my splash plays. If you join the site and you see my data updating, things are going to move around a lot. Appreciate all the kind chats today and all good, Isaac. Your yapping was helpful. I always appreciate you guys who are members popping in here. Unless it's stuff I'm already covering, then it just distracts me a little bit. But appreciate all you guys who are members hopping into the live chat. All you guys who are non-members, leave comments. A lot of you guys have been very kind lately. I do appreciate that a bunch too. So please keep doing that. But make sure to gamble responsibly, guys, even though it is always money time on this channel. Follow me at Chris Spags, follow this channel on YouTube at SplashPlayBets, on Twitter at SplashPlayPod. And I'll be back tomorrow for more, guys. So, hey, enjoy your days. Oh, I didn't mean to flash that again. Enjoy your days. Good luck. This is a slate for the sickos. Yes, we are all peeping in the window at Thunder Valley, watching them slowly undress, showing their pert pink nipples on the Thunder. But we're going to do it today, guys. So I'll see you guys. Got to close out with some talk about pert pink nipples. Enjoy your days. Good luck. And have some fun today, guys. Bye.